All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. What we're gonna have here is the interview clip coming up that I had with Habib during our group sit down between all of the creators. First and foremost, shout out to JMMA for the thumbnail and for the clip. I did record some stuff on my side, but his video quality was definitely a lot better. So what I was really concerned with was about scoring, and I was also really concerned with the ranking leaderboards and seeing if we can get a record reset. And Habib had this to say about that. So enjoy the clip, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace. I really don't like the judges. The way judging goes on the game is way too skewed and towards punches landed, and not exactly what it is that you're throwing. So, for example, power shots, counter shots, while they do impact the scoring a little bit, doesn't impact it enough. So people who are just mashing jabs on the inside or just throwing things that don't make sense, they can win fights that they shouldn't win because it's not like real pro scoring where it's more about damage done and clean, effective shots. So I think it's way too skewed towards punches landed.
So I think that's interesting because judging is something we've definitely been adjusting over since early access. And in the beginning, it was a very complex system where, like, even making somebody miss, you would score points, and then there was a weighting in terms of, like, depending on whether you landed a jab, whether you blocked, whether you counted. But then we would then get complaints from people saying, hang on, I landed more shots than this guy. Why have I lost?
Right.
Because it's about what he's landing.
Yeah.
True, but then it's just like an overall view of the fight.
Mm-hmm.
But we just felt like no matter which solution we chose, there were always people who thought they should have won that fight, and they had valid reasons, right? So we decided to go down the route of, I guess, almost favoring aggression, just because visually, it's like if someone is landing more shots, it was an easier decision to make. But again, we're not always going to get the right decision just by using that choice.
Right.
You don't play the game, Steve.
Well, I do, but he makes a great point. I mean, if you're having fights with upset fans over judging, maybe it is realistic. But I think maybe that part's actually really good. But
That's the part we don't want to
But here's the thing, though. He makes a great point. Professional boxing, they talk about the four criteria, right? Punching, ring generalship, defense, and whatever that. I think that's hogwash. 80% of this is about punching. All that other stuff is like you want to find an excuse for your guy to win. Well, he danced good.
Yeah.
Well, what is ring generalship? Well, you're moving around. All right, what if you're 3 feet away from the guy and you never land a punch? You're ring generaling me right to sleep.
Right.
So the other thing is, the point that he's making is the quantity of punches does matter, but the quality in professional boxing. Now, in the amateur system, it is a point system. So a knockdown has the same value, 1 point, as a jab. So that's why it's flawed. Now in boxing, you can land 3 punches to a guy's 10, but if my 3 punches has you out on your feet, those 3 punches are going to be more valuable, and you're probably going to win a 10-9 round. But there's also a thing, I was pointing this out. You look at like a CompuBox, right? Everyone uses CompuBox. Now that's a data. That's not the way you judge a fight. But it was pointed out to me that generally about 80% of the times when one guy lands more punches than the other, just quantitatively, they generally do win the fight. So you're right, it's a balance, because judging fights is not really a science, it's really kind of an art form, but it's a subjective one. That's the problem.
We're gonna ask a follow-up question to that. Why is there 30 different judges in the game that score the fight instead of a criteria that everybody can work towards and know what's happening, since we're all trying to be competitive?
So that decision was made so that the initial thought process was that so people couldn't just find a meta in terms of, oh, this is the judge that's going to favor this style of fighting. So we tried to give them personalities, again, to try and replicate the sport, but then again, like using the same analogy in terms of loose movement for everybody, like just because something happens really in the sport doesn't mean it's going to be a good gameplay experience. And that's something that we've learned, right? Where I think there's some instances where we might have gone too far down that simulation route, where just because it happens in the sport doesn't mean it's what we recreate in the game.
Ash, you ever thought of having a judge that's so bad that he may be on the fix So like just throw it in there. So it's like make it like real boxing. Like the real life Gulby Shirley. That guy was always like he was always the one judge that had like a bad scorecard. So you gotta just throw one in there just like randomly.
No, don't do that. Hell
no.
They do that enough in this game already. We don't need that.
So you joke about that, right? But
Well, not really.
so in the early design of our career mode, we were going to throw in one or two things that happen in boxing, which are quite unsavory. But when we started licensing the British Boxing Board of Control, you know, and the governing bodies, we were like, yeah, we can't do any of this.
I have a question. The ranked leaderboards have been, same with the win and loss records, have been the same since the game's come out. And it was supposed to be different seasons, so season 0 and then I guess it's season 1. So that recently got removed. Is there any plan to reset records, both in quick match and ranked?
No plans right now. I think for us, it was around prioritizing some of the things that needed sorting in the game, and the resource and time we had.